Chapter 2: The Childer's Diet. The diet is simple, but not easy for most people. It is a control, not a cure. The diet is not a cure in the sense that you can go back to eating and using nightshades again. For your test period, you must completely avoid the nightshades listed below for at least 3 months, better 6 to 12 months. Complete abstinence, no half-hearted approaches, otherwise little or no results. After the test period, you may wish to go off the diet for a week to 10 days to see if your problem returns or worsens. Please avoid white potato, tomato, eggplant, peppers, all kinds including pimento, cayenne, paprika, chili, black and white pepper are okay. All byproducts of above crops, tobacco. Precaution: read ingredients on all cans, bottles, boxes, and packages to avoid foods on grocery counters with tomato sauce and paste, paprika, red and green pepper, eggplant, white potato, and white potato starch or flour. Be suspicious of spices and spiced salt. Natural flavoring, they may contain paprika. Foods containing nightshades. Table 1 lists most of the foods on grocery shelves that may contain the nightshades. After a few weeks or months, it should become second nature to you to be aware of where the nightshades are likely to occur and to avoid them automatically. Always read the ingredients on the container. I'll show the charts. This is for the foods containing potatoes. This is the chart for the food containing tomatoes. This is for peppers. Some substitutes for nightshades. There are dozens of foods to eat other than nightshades. People often say, "What else is there to eat?" After a period of time on the diet, you begin to forget nightshades more or less, lose appetite for them. The following are suggested substitutions. You will discover others. Substitutions for white potato. These are the substitutions for peppers, tomatoes, and eggplants. Vitamins. If you're eating regularly and normally, there's a good chance that vitamin pills and supplements are not needed. Much of the need for pills is created through pressure advertising. There is a danger of overdosing with A and D vitamin pills and the vitamin additives. Excess vitamin A can cause enlarged liver and spleen, low-key pain in the liver region, and falling hair. Pfeiffer notes that excess vitamin A can also cause bursitis, red discoloration of the gums, itchy skin, muscle stiffness, and intracranial pressure, bad headaches. Excess vitamin D may cause calcium deposits in the main arteries, in joints, and in the kidneys, resulting in renal failure and elevated blood pressure, which sometimes is fatal. Cooperators have noted that excess vitamin E can cause urinary problems. Vitamin C pills, surprising to say, were found by several cooperators to cause sore feet and tendons, swollen toes, inflamed joints, sore jaws, and other problems. When the pills were stopped, the problems went away. When started again, they returned. Some brands of vitamin C pills contain paprika's natural source of vitamin C. Ascorbic acid is derived from potato or corn starch in some brands, but is not in certain. If those made from potatoes starch can carry the nightshade effect over into the ascorbic acid pills. Some cooperators complained of large red and purple spots forming on their limbs when high doses of vitamin C were taken voluntarily or recommended. Other cooperators did not complain about the vitamin C pills taken at the daily minimum or irregularly, or at what could be considered an excess for other cooperators. Cod liver oil, which has A and D, was found to cause fuzziness and feeling rotten by some people. There obviously is a difference among people in their reaction to vitamin pills and supplements, and would need to be considered in assessing what has been said above. On the other hand, we have some cooperators who apparently have responded to multimineral, multivitamin, calcium, alfalfa, hormonal, and other pills when nothing else seemed to help their ailments. For example, one cooperator felt tired, had leg aches, and goiter swelling that was corrected by taking multi-mineral pills only as needed, and not day in and day out. If a pill seems to give a response at first, it is unwise to take an abundance of them, daily or even minimum daily, since there is a good chance of creating another problem. It may take 3 to 6 months to recover from an overdose of vitamins. Vitamin pills and supplements tend to be oversold in advertising. It is best to spend your money on good and varied food rather than on pills and supplements. As you gain time with the diet, you should be able to gradually reduce as many of the pills as you can, then omit all of them if at all possible. The body was not made for that many pills some people are taking today, as some people take large doses of vitamins so they can eat and drink carelessly. Read labels carefully and watch the buildup of added vitamins A, D, C in prepared foods and drinks. Exercise of any kind can help blood circulation, tissue repair, and carrying away of the toxins through the kidneys. Massaging of the tender bone and muscle areas improves blood circulation, as do sunning, hot baths, and heat pads. Golf, walking, tennis, jogging, or running around on the job all stimulate blood circulation and help the quick relief while on the diet. The white potato needs special comment. The potato is often the last nightshade to be given up by dieters. It is the most common food, cooked in many ways on the breakfast, lunch, and dinner dishes. It is difficult to resist. Most people cannot believe that such a white, clean, innocent-looking, good-tasting, and easy-to-digest food can cause aches and pains. The potato has a delayed action, giving first tranquilizing effects, then an ache or pain settling within a few hours or a day later or two. Severity of pain varies with the amount eaten, but for sensitive people, just bites of potato, cooked or mixed with other foods as a flour or paste, is enough to make the problem active. The nightshades are far the key offenders, and based on animal research, could be responsible for subtle bone, tendon, tooth, and tissue deterioration with time. Some cooperators have complained of aches and pains after eating asparagus, beets, spinach, rhubarb, sweet cherries, chocolate, and some wines and liquors, particularly when used daily or in excess. People will vary in susceptibility. Some cooperators consider peas an offender, but this could be due to the green berries of a nightshade weed being harvested in the commercial field with peas. Employees remove most of these berries on the sorting belief or by use of a selective herbicide in the field. Melons in excess may create a problem. There may be other offenders, and we would be glad to hear from you. Chocolate and coffee may cause skin eruptions and headless pimples, mostly on the face with some people. Artificial coffee cream and instant coffee may cause digestive problems. Some cooperators complain of corn products and wheat flour. Could it be potato flour? Go easy on milk can cause colitis, and milk products, particularly cheese, contains vitamin D, possibly paprika. Sodas labeled natural flavoring may contain paprika. Excess pork, eggs, sweets, and citrus, combined with vitamin C pills, have caused complaints. Restaurants, banquets, hospitals, airplanes, picnics. Study the menu. Instead of white potato, ask for rice, 2 vegetables, and a salad, or a sweet potato if listed. Many people are weight reducing, and the waitress understands no potato. Ask for grits if available. Ask for a tossed salad without tomatoes or peppers, or ask for hearts of lettuce. Most salad dressings have tomato or hot pepper in them in one form or another. Roquefort or oil and vinegar are okay, provided a cheap brand of Roquefort has not been made with mayonnaise containing paprika. French, Russian, Thousand Island, and Italian dressings have tomato and may have hot peppers in them. Pretty red paprika is often sprinkled over dishes and seafood generally. You also may find it on macaroni salads and many of the delicatessen foods. Watch for olives with pimentos, peppers in them. Avoid meat sauces, most of which have tomato, maybe hot pepper in them. Use black pepper and salt instead. A fruit cup is safer than a soup. Watch for a tomato cooked into green beans, lima beans, zucchini, cucumber, hamburgers, meatloafs, and other foods. You may be able to smell or taste the tomato if you cannot see it, and immediately avoid these dishes. Eat more or take more from the buffet counter of other foods, maybe even breads or desserts. Banquets can be a real problem where you are served the same meal across the board. Lay aside the tomato or pepper. If the potato is baked, as often as the case is, open it, spread it, and smear it as if you did eat some. Friends may think you are dieting, and you are. Watch for paprika and nightshades cooked and mixed with other foods, sometimes with a hidden nightshade. You cannot help yourself and you must endure the aches and pains. In hospitals, you usually have a choice on the menu before food is served. Avoid the nightshades and order more of the others. It is highly important to avoid the nightshades when trying to get well. Here is a place: vitamin pills, 1 a day. C or multiples may be in order. Vitamin C is a healing vitamin. In nursing homes, it is difficult to get the food you want, but a sympathetic nutritionist will often work with you, and the chef will serve food without nightshades. On airlines, you do not have much of a choice. Do the best you can. Do without or bring a bag. Watch paprika on peanuts, in spicy sausage, potato water, in gravies. At picnics, nightshades tend to be everywhere. Tomatoes and peppers in the vegetable salads. Potato or macaroni salad sprinkled with pretty red paprika. Brown beans with tomato sauce. Potato chips and snacks with paprika on them. Red pimentos, peppers and olives. Barbecue sauce on the meats. All that may be left for you are breads, cakes, desserts, and maybe a drink. Pick up what you can and try to brush aside as much tomato sauce as you can. This could be too much for some people, and delay for a hamburger afterwards, or pay the price in pain. Warn the hostess before that you are unable to eat white potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, or peppers in any form. Allergies. This is better than picking at your food with embarrassment. With some families, they can hardly cook a meal without using the nightshades in one form or another, and this creates real problems and must be faced, or ready to endure the aches and pains later. After you have been on the diet for 3 to 6 months, you may wish to go back to eating the nightshades for a week or two to see if the aches, pains, and other problems return. You may slip unavoidably. In either case, it may help to convince you that you are on the right track, but it usually takes another 2 or 3 weeks to eliminate the problems again, depending upon how much or how long you partook of the nightshades. It usually takes 3 months to get the toxins out of your system and for the body to start recovering. You may see benefits within 4 to 6 weeks. The aches and pains disappear very slowly, and suddenly you realize they're gone. Where there has been a sprain, a bruise, a bone break, a surgery, or tissue damage, it may take several months or more for the tenderness to disappear from those areas. If the damage is long-standing and joints or vertebrae have fused, or fingers and toes gnarled, the nerves may be pressed. The pain may continue until surgery is performed. Arthritic problems seem to settle first in damaged areas of the body. This is probably due to a sprain or surgery, cutting or pulling apart the bones or blood vessels and nerves, hence the toxins settle in dead ends. It usually takes a while for them to get out. When aches and pains of arthritis are worse during cool, wet weather, this could be due to poor blood circulation and a slower movement of nightshade toxins through the kidney into the urine. Most of the cooperators on this diet, when rigid, find after a few weeks or months that change of weather makes little to no difference. Remember again that this diet is a control. If you go back to the nightshades, your troubles are refunded. After a year or 2 on the diet, avoiding the nightshades becomes a part of daily routine without much thought, since it becomes second nature to know where the nightshades are likely to occur. Also, the body seems to settle down from ups and downs that may occur within most people in the first 6 to 12 months on the diet, perhaps due to getting bits of hidden nightshades by mistake, and also the body may need time to adjust. Salt. Do we have adequate research backing on the use of salt in the human diet? Is a completely salt-free diet healthful? Can a salt problem in health be due to another factor or a combination of factors? Any toxins, such as those in nightshades, can cause edema, water accumulation in the tissues. The nightshade effects on edema in some people could be the reason for suggesting a salt-free diet. The farmer and agricultural research looks at a need for salt, essentially table salt, sodium chloride, somewhat differently than the medical doctor. Dairymen place a block of sodium chloride among their cattle to provide the animals with sodium needed in high milk production. In fact, the animal appetite demands it. Wild animals also can be seen seeking salt where it is available. People perspiring on hot days, as on the farm or in construction, eat salt piles regularly to keep them from becoming exhausted and weak. If suddenly you become weak from heavy perspiration while mowing the lawn, placing a tablespoon of salt in a glass of warm water and drink it within minutes, your strength returns to normal. When a tight head cold, you can often open the nose by sucking a medium-strength salt tablet solution from the palm of your hand through the nasal channels into your throat. Clear the nose and do it again once every 2 to 3 hours. Our blood, perspiration, tears, and urine are salty. In Central Africa, away from the sea, people have become so in need of salt that they can drink cattle urine. Bloch attributes the low population density in Central Africa to the environmental inadequacy of sodium chloride. Charles E. Weber has associated inadequate potassium salts with some of the aches and pains of arthritis. A balance is needed in the body among the salts: sodium, potassium, magnesium, others. When one element is out of balance, trouble arises. Note: our body contains half a pound of salt, enough to fill several shakers. Has a fad or salt-free diet developed over the years without adequate research backing? There appears to be more need for study in this area. Red meat and eggs. Red meat is the best source of endurance energy. It nearly resembles the tissues of your body. Fish and fowl are deficient in few of the amino acids found in your body. Football coaches always request big steaks for their teams before a game. They would not recommend a meal of tuna fish, cottage cheese, tossed salad, mushrooms, and an apple, even though each has a definite place in the diet. There is nothing wrong with an egg or two if no allergies are involved. Most of the food required of life are in the eggs, and the cholesterol can be countered daily by consumption of fresh fruit and vegetables that contain a key item, pectin. Some fat in the meats is not harmful and a good source of energy, but a substantial diet of fatty meats and foods is questionable. Most of the fat around the steaks can be cut away and left on the plate. The senior author has spent a sabbatical visiting dozens of countries around the world, studying agriculture in general and fruit growing in particular. The healthiest, most progressive, and largest people are living in areas where the land is fertile and good water is plentiful. In other words, there are people living where the food is and where the biggest industry in the world, is active and thriving. The United States of America has by far the best food, and particularly red meat, steaks. This, of course, is due to natural resources, namely the efficient farmers trained by the agricultural colleges and extension services and backed by the excellent research of the agricultural experiment stations over the country. The free enterprise system has been a factor encouraging competition among farmers and produce the most and the best. Pills, drugs, alcohol. To relieve pain, the use of pills, alcohol, and perhaps hard drugs are an easy out. Unfortunately, pills and exercise seem to be the only approach left for most doctors, or massaging and bone treatments by others. Surgery can be effective in advanced cases. Acupuncture has been temporarily effective for some people, but rarely permanently. According to the replies from many cooperators, gold shots and copper bracelets are questionable. Cortisone has been temporarily effective, but has side effects when continued. Some cooperators on the diet have also taken cortisone, have worsened. Why, we do not know. DMSO and cocaine are short-term painkillers with eventual problems. Pills, drugs, and alcohol can only soothe while the disease worsens. By avoiding the nightshades and their byproducts, you should be able to reduce gradually the intake of the pills. Most of these pills slow you down, cause you ups and downs, make you sleepy, blur mentally, tire you, and can have severe side effects, and if taken in excess, may induce sleepiness. It is best to reduce than stop them completely as the pain subsides. You may have forgotten how good it feels to feel really good. Be ambitious and enjoy life. Some painkillers are highly addictive to some people, as alcohol, cocaine, and Valium. In extreme cases of addiction, it is worse to go to a clinic to stop them than to get a new start. If you become an alcoholic or drug addict, long years of experience have shown that attending and taking part in AA meetings is the only effective control. Alcoholism is a recognized disease. Excessive drinking may result in alcoholic neurosis, aches and pains in muscles and joints that may be diagnosed as a form of arthritis. The AA technique of not picking up a drink a day at a time and going through AA and smoke-in meetings regularly may also work for addiction to drugs and alcohol. Fasting. Fasting is an approach some doctors use to pinpoint foods that may be causing allergies or arthritis symptoms. The patient fasts for 4 to 5 days, then starts eating foods, beginning with meats and adding others one by one until a kickback is noted. Some foods, as a potato, however, have a delayed action, and the aches may not appear for 1 to 3 days after eaten. This must be taken into consideration. One New Brunswick, New Jersey cooperator tells me about a friend who got lost at sea and ate only fish that he could catch for 7 days. His arthritic symptoms disappeared during this episode but returned after he began to eat shore food again. Rheumatologists at Linköping Regional Hospital in Sweden have reported that fasting can affect temporary relief from rheumatoid arthritis. 15 rheumatic patients fasted for 7 to 10 days, while 10 other rheumatic patients served as controls. As patients were observed over 9 weeks, while fasting, the study subjects experienced a significant reduction in pain, joint swelling, and joint stiffness compared to the control subjects. But a few days after stopping the fast, the disease symptoms returned for the study subjects. Results were published in 1979 issue of Läkardaringen. Working wives, mothers. Working women may have a difficult time with this diet. Meals need to be planned or prepared ahead. Today, rather typically, she may call her husband or son at 4 p.m., pick up 4 hamburgers, big ones, a big bag of French fries, 2 milkshakes, 5 pies, and a big cup of coleslaw with green peppers chopped in. At the burger restaurant, she could also get a couple bottles of ketchup. One mother calls daughter just home from school, put 4 potatoes in the oven, bake them, and steak out of the freezer, and thaw, and prepare a salad. There are plenty of tomatoes, peppers, and radishes, and some celery and carrots in the refrigerator. See if we have enough ranch dressing or Russian. Call me back to get anything you need. I'll be home about 5:15. It is also quick and easy to prepare foods on the table from the supermarket, and many of them contain nightshades in one form or the other. Hence, working women using this diet may have to do more home cooking with considerable advanced planning to make the diet work. Husbands. Women seem generally to take more interest in what they eat. Their health and figure seem to be more important to them than men. Men will eat almost anything put before them, and can be a problem in trying to get them to adhere to a diet. As indicated before, if they hurt badly enough, they pay attention. Sometimes wives must take all the nightshades in any form out of the house, but men will still pick them up at lunch or banquets or in traveling. Some wives put their husband on a diet without knowing it, then explain what happened later. Maybe this is the reason there's so many widows around today. For many men, some women, a diet is just too much bother. It is easier to take pills when the pain gets bad enough. Nurses. There are dozens of nurses on this diet, and happy to find something other than pills for their crippling pains. We have heard from a few nurses who have recovered from arthritic problems, but under no condition are they able to convince their doctors to even try the diet. Most nurses will pass the information on to clients. Here again, the difference between women and men. Sports and nightshades. The nightshades with some people, and perhaps with most people without their knowing, tend to stiffen and slow muscle movements in their actions and reactions. When used in excess, the nightshades may cause muscle spasms, as a Charlie horse in the thigh, or a crick in the back, trick joints, or even heart arrest. The glycoalkaloids in the nightshades are known to cause paralysis to a degree. Bone breaks and sprains on the football field could be due, in some case, to muscle spasm as the failure of the muscle under strain to protect the bone. It is well known that shortness of breath, a quicker fatigue are associated with the use of tobacco. For any temporary stimulation from nicotine, there is a letting down later. Hence, most coaches discourage their team from using tobacco. Back in the early 1900s, the author can remember his father, who was center on the Missouri University football team, telling him on 1 to 2 occasions that his coach would not let the team use hot peppers during training, apparently because of the same problem with tobacco. Heavy tomato consumption has developed only in recent years in the United States, but potatoes back in the early 1900s were largely mashed or fried in skillets and not eaten baked, as today, with the peel, which is high in solanine. Knee, arm, and leg injuries are common in the heavy sports, as football and hockey. Arthritis frequently develops after injury. eventually disabling the player for future participation in sports. We have seen middle-aged cooperators on the diet recover to youth and agility of a 20-year-old. There really is no good reason for athletes to retire from the game at 40 years old. The no nightshade diet should help the athletes to recover from injuries and stay agile for another decade, a year or two after 40 years of age. It could be of interest to athletes to try not eating the nightshades before and during sports events to see if their performance is better and more consistent. Coaches may also be interested in trying a no nightshade meal during the sports season. Hundreds of cooperators have indicated that while on the diet, they have noted markedly increased strength, endurance, and mental alertness. The nightshade foods actually are mild drugs or narcotic crops, as is tobacco. Libido. Several cooperators have indicated improved libido on the diet. This could be due to a generally improved health condition when free from nightshade toxins. In a press release spring 1980, Dr. George L. Rich of Temple University and Jesse E. Potter, Chicago, noted that their experience with 20 patients at the Moss Rehabilitation Hospital in Philadelphia, there was 70% positive response to intense sexual stimulation, which provided 4 to 6 hours of pain relief from the joint disease. Sexual activities probably stimulate the adrenal glands to produce more cortisone, the hormone used to treat arthritis. A healthy sex life undoubtedly is significant in a program for better health. Running down a food problem. People vary in undesirable responses to food. If you have a skin problem, a headache, or aches and pains that come and go, or is bad then not so bad, keep track of what you put in your mouth or are doing. When it is bad, trace back. By the process of elimination, sooner or later, you may be able to pinpoint the culprit. This is the way we discover the relation between aches and pains and the nightshades. It may take a few weeks or a few months or a year, but it could be worth the effort. The culprit frequently is something you like very much and are eating or using in excess. The body tends to develop rejection symptoms under these conditions. Be aware that a nightshade, particularly paprika, is likely to creep into your food at any time, and you may ascribe a problem to another food or drink when it is the delayed action of the nightshade. With potato, there is a tranquilizing effect after eating it, but the aches or pains may not appear till a day or two later. A sizable bite of hot pepper, however, may be apparent within minutes. First, in the tingling sensation in the chest, or the itching or irritation, then later the aches and pains set in. Some people think after being on the diet for a while, they can eat a potato or tomato and not be bothered. But these people usually continue taking assortments of pills to counteract the discomfort from low-key aches. People are different genetically, the same as their fingerprints. You may be able to solve your own problem quickly and inexpensively by carefully studying your responses to food, drink, and the environment around you. Where there is a pain, the body is trying to tell you something is wrong. It is the best to find the cause and correct as soon as possible, rather than try to kill the pain with pills while the problem worsens. It is wise to eat and drink in moderation. Excesses may lead to allergies as the body tends to develop rejection symptoms. Variation of meal makeup from day to day not only makes this more interesting and tasty, but also may avoid buildup of a problem when a food such as beets, spinach, asparagus, where cooperators have developed a kickback on eating them 3 to 4 days straight. In season, excess sugar results in tooth cavities, blurred sight, fuzziness, and loss of vigor and endurance. For children in school, obviously too much sugar is not good, or substituting a candy bar for a meal. Fruit machines would be better than most of the dispensing machines found in public places. In the local area of New Jersey, we often receive phone calls of a child suffering from some form of arthritis. In checking on food intake, we usually find they spend a lot of time at the fast food places where French fries, hamburgers, and hot dogs with tomato sauce, tomatoes, and hot peppers predominate. They may live on pizza pies. If we are able to get the child to avoid nightshades completely, he soon recovers. Some people seem to have more of a problem with an acid stomach developing after meals than others. A neutralizer such as Tums carried in the company's small plastic box is one solution. You will need to pick up the brand that works best for you. Acid stomach is aggravated by overeating, eating between meals, and by certain foods such as hot peppers and tomatoes, going to bed on a full stomach, some drinks as alcohol and coffee between meals, and before food of last meal is digested. Most people are able to eventually pinpoint food and drinks that affect them personally. Then there are people who never seem to complain of an acid stomach. An effective method for stopping diarrhea is to reduce the liquid intake to almost nothing, taking a sip of water only when the urge is strong. A day or two of reduced water intake often will solve the problem. When the system is constantly flushed with liquid, the medication or the natural countering by the body does not have a chance to work. Banana is recommended fruit in the tropics. For constipation, a ripe apple or any fresh fruit eaten before or after meal is effective in keeping the system open. Regular use of over-advertised medication to keep the system open may create the problem. For most people, bowels will move when ready. Worrying only aggravates it. Occasionally we have a cooperator who is trying numerous things to regain good health or get rid of aches and pains and other problems. He may be taking as many as 100 pills a day and switching from one health food to the another. Then he goes on this diet, but gets little if any results, or they come very slowly. This could be due to an overshadowing effect of the other measures, or there could be another health problem dominating. Some specialists may tend to go overboard on painkillers and other medicines to the point of actually causing the patient discomfort over and above the arthritic problem. Overdosing with vitamin pills and supplements is a common problem. The chiropractors and osteopaths sometimes are more successful in helping arthritics since they do not believe in drugs. There are some 150 of the latter doctors using this diet with their standard treatments with favorable results. Several MDs are using this diet on themselves to get relief and to help them continue their profession. Quite a number are testing this diet on their patients. It appears that the nightshade could be the shadow. The medical profession has been fighting for years without knowing the basic culprit. Arthritis seems to be a warning system of other diseases subtly developing in the body, as hardening of the arteries, breakdown of organs, mental and cardiac problems, and possibly cancer, in which all nightshades, including tobacco, may be playing a part. Today, there is too much confusion in the media, newspaper, magazines, TV, radio, on just what you should do to solve your health problems. We are extremely short on good, basic, well-conducted, unbiased research on key problems of health, particularly in the field of health nutrition. A nutritional diet without nightshades. Many people are lost at first as to what food to buy and to eat when they must omit nightshades from their meals. After a little study, however, they find that the problem is not much of a problem. There are dozens of other fruits and vegetables just as good or better. Robert Bingham, MD Nutritional of Yorba Linda, California, has prepared a nightshade-free diet for some 300 of his patients at the Esperanza Intercommunity Hospital and has given us permission to repeat it here. He says that all 300 of his patients on which the nightshade diet-free has been tested have improved, but he has also been using a number of other treatments as part of the program for arthritis. In Table 2, breakfasts are indicated in the top tier by meal by day of the week, lunch in the middle tier, and dinner at the base with respective desserts. Here's the image of the diet example. And continued. Removing the nightshade toxin. Is it possible to remove the culprit toxin from the nightshades and make them acceptable to sensitive people? Research has not pinpointed all the chemicals in these crops. We think we know the critical ones, but there could be others. As noted in Dr. Tsow's Chapter 5 on tobacco, 5,000 chemicals already have been isolated and identified in tobacco, and more are likely being named each month. Hence, the nightshade are more complicated, and it likely would take years to identify most of the chemicals. Then, each would need to be tested on rats, perhaps people, to see if it is toxic. This would take time and money. For years, the potato breeders have been trying to keep the solanine in the hybrids below 20 milligrams per 100 grams of fresh weight of tubers. Solanine is relatively insoluble and varies in content with cultivators. As noted in Table 3, it takes temperatures of 250 degrees to break it down. Here's the chart showing the solanine content in different ways of potatoes being prepared. It is apparent that frying the potatoes in hot grease significantly reduces the glycoalkaloids, including solanine, but for sensitive people, this is enough to induce aches and pains. Here are a few recipes for substituting the nightshades. Here's a tomato replacement, chili con carne, Manhattan clam chowder, New England clam chowder, French dressing, Russian dressing, ketchup, Bloody Mary mix, and potato substitutes. What doctors are prescribing? The Arthritis Foundation has distributed the following information on drugs being prescribed by doctors for relief from arthritis. Drugs given only temporary relief, and nearly all are harmful to the body in one way or another. Some have serious side effects. If you are on the no nightshade diet, it would be well to gradually reduce, then stop any drugs you may be taking unless for some serious reason it is mandatory that you continue. The human body is not made to need drugs regularly. Rather than continuing to treat the symptoms, let's get the base and correct it. There are a number of paperback books in the bookstores and libraries on prescription drugs, giving their generic names when prescribing, warnings, precautions, side effects, and adverse reactions. If you are taking a drug regularly, you may wish to acquaint yourself with its pros and cons. One such book is the E.L. Stern's Your Guide to Prescription Drug, Grosset and Dunlap, New York. A professional book is Modern Drug Encyclopedia,